Hello, hello. Yeah.
Hi, folks.
Bhagwan.
Yeah, so we'll start around sharp 7. So yeah, we have 5 minutes, so you can do the sound checks and all those.
Is this
Yeah, but
live?
where are the rest of the
Live?
guys? I don't see the rest of the people.
Yeah, maybe they will be coming up soon.
Yeah.
Is this live? Uh,
Probably yes. Yeah, that's like just started 5 minutes earlier, so people can start tuning in.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Mauritius.
So I went from this to this in just 3 months. Yes, it's a reverse transformation.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah.
I think Snigdha hasn't joined. Yeah. Just ping her. Yeah, I think all the panelists has joined, and we can start now. We can start accepting others.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Yeah, good.
Okay, so I see people has started joining. So yeah, I mean we can probably start. So good evening everyone. Welcome to React Kolkata, and I am Arindam, core team member at React Kolkata, and I will be hosting today's discussion. So today we are going to talk about very interesting and important topic, which is placements, right? And it is quite more important in today's context where every single day we see new LLMs, new tools coming up, which is claiming to be better than coding and building stuff. So we will be touching upon a lot of things you need to have to in terms of getting your next role or how you can switch all these things. And we have a very esteemed list of panelists from different backgrounds with different stories, and we expect you will learn a lot from them, from their journeys, the mistakes they have done, and how we can also improve your chances of getting your next job as well. So yeah, I guess all of our speakers are here, so I will just ask everyone to start with a small introduction, where you currently work, and if you can also share your first job experience as well, that will be great. So in my screen I see Pritesh first. So Pritesh, you want to start with it?
Hey everyone. Glad to be part of this panel today. It's the first time me joining React Kolkata, even if it is a part of React Play, but I was able to make it finally. Um, so yeah, my name is Pritesh, and I work at a company called Harness right now as a community manager. I started back in 2021 as a software engineer. So I had my first role was web developer or junior full stack sort of role. It was in a company called Unschool in Hyderabad. Um, and You won't believe that my first tech stack was Gatsby and not React. So I had to learn Gatsby directly after learning JavaScript and stuff. So I belong to a non-technical background. I'm from mechanical engineering background. But yeah, long journey from I had like variety of roles that I've been part of, lucky to be part of. But yeah, excited to be part of the panel today.
Awesome. That's quite a good story. Now next I see Narendranath. Would you like to go next?
Right. So as hearing someone say that they are from mechanical fills me with joy because I'm from electrical. So yeah, so this was back in 2020. I've been an Android developer all my life probably. So yeah, it was one of those stories when in the third year you're basically like, yes, electrical engineering core. That's the then ground reality hits during internships, and you're like, maybe coding is not that bad after all. So I probably pivoted in my third year and worked in Tata Neu first. So Tata Neu was my first company, and presently I am working as a senior Android engineer at Ajaib, which is a company in Indonesia, but I'm working from home. So yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Now I see Snigdhati. Would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. And first of all, thank you so much, and grateful enough to be a part of React Kolkata from the Now On event. And I'm really glad to be a part of it and meeting everyone here. So I am currently working as a software developer too at Expedia Group for now. And how my first job started was the campus placement, which happened in 2022, early 2022, when I was in my third year and the last part of my third year. and it was Free Charge Payments, which is a fintech company and was backed by Axis Bank. So the tech stack that I had been in was Java and Spring Boot. By the time Java 11 was popular enough, and we used to study about differences between Java 8 and Java 11, how it worked. So these were type of facts that we used to think of. And then my journey began ahead, and I worked there for 2 years. And now, after spending 2 years with the fintech, I am now a part of a travel tech, which is Expedia, where I'm working as an engineer, which being a part of engineering team, have been handling everything, not just coding, but also DevOps, QA, and every other component as an engineer. So it's like a peak to my learning, and I really look forward to mentoring and sharing my experiences further.
Awesome, awesome. Cool. Now we have Imranda. Would you like to share your journey as well? Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, am I audible firstly?
Yes.
Yeah, you're audible.
Perfect. So yeah, my name is Imran. I am probably the odd one out because I cannot develop, I cannot code. That is the reason why I took the field that I'm currently in, which is cybersecurity and DevOps. Started off my journey back in my second year of college. It was COVID, so I worked full time for an organization called Xeron, where most of the things were not technical, in the sense that I started off with the things like business and digital marketing for some clients and things like that, along with cybersecurity. After which I transitioned into a role which is completely cybersecurity and DevOps at Xeron itself. Then moved on to an organization called Senrisa. Then moved on to the GRC, governance, risk, and compliance perspectives at Deloitte. Worked there for 3 years, and then I'm back at Senrisa once again as the cybersecurity and DevOps lead. So that's been about my journey. The times that I have developed would be the times right now because I'm using AI for it. So yeah, that's about it from my end.
Okay, that's good. So, yeah, so now you got the clear idea that we have a very diverse panelist with a lot of different like experiences, and I hope you will all get to learn a lot of things. So, also for folks who are tuning in, if you have any questions, we'll have a separate Q&A session, so you can keep your question, or you can ask it directly, or you can also paste that in the chat, so we can pick it up later. So first, I would like to start with this, starting with a reality check. So a lot of times when we go, like, we interact with students within third year, fourth year, they always say, okay, this I am learning this just for the placement. After that, these skills will not be required that much, or this is not relevant after getting the job. So I would love to know from all of your experiences, what do you think, like, we learn the skills, like few for example DSA could be one of them, or there are some other as well. So do you think those preparation that we do during the placement season, does that also help after we get placed or started working in a company? Any one of you can start.
I feel the skills are really important part of any preparations, and skills never get wasted. So when we prepare for, to be precise, skills should not be mixed with a particular language or a framework. For suppose if I'm learning Java, it's just giving me a kickstart that I should start my preparations with Java and Spring Boot and start off DSA with Java and proceed ahead. It's the logic building that helps, and ahead when you are a fresher, that can help you. And slowly and gradually, ultimately the syntaxes, the languages, the frameworks do not matter a lot. It's just your logic and your problem solving skills. So DSA definitely helps to build that problem solving. But given that DSA should be a important parameter to, it's not much used in every organization. It's used in every organization, not always, but it is just for your problem solving skills and building your logical thinking ability. That's why it is important, and it should be consistent enough. Like I have felt that while preparing for switching in jobs and etc. So when we are not consistent with our problem solving preparations, that can act as a bottleneck. So skill development should more be focused on your problem solving and logical thinking rather than syntaxes and fixed structures. So and you should have to be consistent enough with it. Even if it is half an hour a day, it's fine enough, but you just have to be consistent with your skill building. So that really helps ahead as well.
Yeah, awesome. That's a great answer. Anyone else wants to touch base upon this?
Right. So basically, there are two aspects to it. One is how much you use it in your job and how much it is useful. Those two are two completely different things, right? For me, as a front-end developer, I probably do not need to use DSA as much, right? Because in the end, you are scaffolding a lot of things, and as Sneha correctly point out, it does improve your problem-solving skills, but it depends on in which domain you are. If you are a backend, if you are planning for a backend heavy role, probably you would need to have your DSA polished out, because the bigger the company are, the bigger their problems and bigger the the different complexities that they tackle. So you are shaving off time in calculations that helps them in the bottom run. And depending on how useful it is, correct? So in the end, you have to understand that DSA is a door opener, right? So in a lot of places for big companies, they do not actually care that if they lose one or two good candidates. So you might be a very good, for example, amazing developer, right? But they have so many people reaching out to them with everyone is curating their CV so that they look correct, right? So there has to be a commonality by which they can filter people out. So unfortunately or fortunately, it is DSA that they choose to have that layer, that that this is the layer that we will use to maybe filter, how do I put it, serious candidates for non-serious candidates. That's how they take it. Because I have been a central placement coordinator for JU for like 2 years, and that is the conversations, backdoor conversations. Basically, I have asked them this question, that you are probably taking for a web developer role. Why do you, like, this guy is a very good web developer, but why would you not choose him like over someone who has just maybe they are, because your first round, it was, I think I can't even say the name, it was Gupshup. So it was the first round, you are basically just cutting people out, who are not able to do your technical challenge, which is like DSA round, which is very tough. I mean, so you're losing out on a web developer even though you are wanting a web developer. So it was like, see, we have like 500 people coming in our company, trying to get into our company, and then we as a hiring manager have to explain to them also that why did we hire them. So if we hire them without that common ground, where that they are not good at DSA, and let's say in the job they are bad at event development, because we do not know how to judge them. So it becomes difficult for me to explain that, okay, why did we hire this candidate. So that layer of commonality also defines, also has made DSA as the norm. Second thing is the people, like when you are talking about DSA, it's like going to a very fancy restaurant with less amount of money. It's like whenever let's say you are in an interview, and you are going to a restaurant and you don't know how pricey the meal is, right? If you have less money, you would not be very comfortable, right? So it's the same as in DSA, like, because I have had it, and I admittedly very openly say that I'm not very good at DSA, right? So I have gone into interviews where I was not very sure about myself, because probably that, okay, what if I get a tough DSA question, I'm not able to answer it. It has gone away, because after 5 years of doing this, you probably don't feel about DSA as much. But when you go into interviews, you have that feeling that, okay, I'm not good at DSA. What if I'm asked these DSA questions, and that affects your other interview as well. So that layer of commonality becomes very important, to at least some level of DSA has to be done to even get rid of that fear and actually perform well in your interviews as well. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. That really makes a lot of sense. I would like to go to Imran, the next, if you have any thoughts regarding this.
So basically, most of it, whatever was I was about to say, was covered by Narendra itself. But yeah, well, ultimately, so the field that I work in, most of it is, so DSA is not a hard and fast requirement. But whenever we hire, or whenever we look at some candidate, especially at Big Fours or anything of that sort, even at my current organization and the organizations that I've worked with, we mostly look forward to, if you're doing DSA, ultimately what it trickles down to is your problem solving skills. How do you approach that problem? How do you solve that problem? What is your approach going to be? Maybe you don't know about hash maps, or maybe you don't know about how you are going to implement it, but you get an idea of it at least. So that's what it boils down to. That's what we prefer as well for fields like DevOps or GRC or anything of that sort, where you approach a problem in a certain way, and then you actually make the solution a little bit more better. Okay, this is what I'm trying to do. Maybe I can improve this. Maybe I can make this better by doing XYZ. So that's what it ultimately boils down to. Your problem solving skills, your approach to a particular problem. I think that's what that's what holds the most amount of criteria when it comes to sitting for an interview or anything of that sort. But yeah, if you are going into an organization which actually looks for DSA, they have their certain criterias as to whether you are able to solve that problem as well, especially for development roles, backend development, and so on. So yeah, that's ultimately what it concludes down to, is the fact that you have to get your basics right. Whether it be cybersecurity, whether it be development or anything of that sort, you have to keep your basics right. You might think that I might not use left inner join or anything of that sort in my organization or in my life. That's just the same way that I'm not using calculus till the day that since the day that I'm born to this day. That's something that is wrong. You might need to implement that. You might come up with a situation later on where you'll have to solve this problem. So basics. That's about it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So now I would just go to Pritesh, and I would probably just tweak the question a bit, because Pritesh has also, mostly have different types of roles. He have worked, front end and now DevRel as well. So I would love to know as well, like in your day-to-day work, how do you see the applicability of this preparation time, let's say you have taken, how it helped, or any thoughts regarding that?
Yeah. So I think most of it is covered by the panelists, but I want to put a different perspective for all the listeners over here. So I have been working with range of companies, working as in not full time, but a lot. I have been in community. I've been in touch with a lot of founders and stuff. So what I've seen is there were different waves of hiring that has happened in past, and that is happening now in the wave of AI. Okay. So what is happening is, there was a time when people used to hire based on the skills, right? Skills of DSA, system design, or based on the role, whatever the role is, they used to see the key skills and then they used to hire and stuff. Okay. Then there was a wave where, um, at some companies, what used to matter was how good you are in building products, right? Especially the small startups and everything. They were not thinking that, okay, this guy has DSA or doesn't has a DSA, but if it's good at building, if he's good at architecting stuff, and he has a proof of work that he has done in past, then it's like good go for them, and they used to hire people like that, like especially maybe on from Twitter, or you must be knowing Arindam already, right? They used to hire based on the projects that they've built or based on the work they've done as a proof of work. But now there is a wave again, where now the projects that we used to build before, now everything can be built, most of it using AI, so that skill of building product is not anymore a differentiator, right? Now I can write a prompt and it will generate a web application or a mobile application for me, right? So UI skills or any skill which like AI can do is something that is very less valuable and high in competition. So we are back in the era of DSA again, right? So I have a lot of friends, and again we have seen that the first filter they put is DSA again. There used to be back then it was not a filter like a year or two back, but after the wave of AI, they are again putting the filter of DSA because they want people who value the job, who should be uh, good in the pool of people. So that every year there is a huge pool of people coming out of the college, and it's getting harder and harder for companies to filter out good people. Now, the definition of good people is people who are hardworking, people how badly they want the job. And to get a job now is like you need to be good at DSA. DSA is the first filter. Whether it is a front end, back end, or anything. Even one of my flatmate, he works at a good company right now. Even if he's a front end guy, if you want to jump to a good company again, DSA is again irrespective of the language, JavaScript again, any language. But I've seen that wave coming back again. So do not ignore that in current market. And one more point I want to say that anything that you learn, nothing will go in vain in your job. Okay, if it is your networking concepts, even if it is your DevOps stuff, uh, somewhere or the other in your job or in your career you will get back to that point, because in your career you will go through a range of different roles. Initially you will be a software developer, then maybe a lead engineer, or then might shift to DevOps, architecting, right? So somewhere in your career you will be going through those concepts again. So do everything possible to crack jobs and work hard to be in this competitive market.
Yeah, absolutely. I can also share one personal experience regarding this AI generated projects in resume. Recently, my team was also hiring a couple of full stack engineers, and more or less every second application has almost, out of those four projects they have listed, three of them can easily understand it is like 80 or 90% is generated by AI. And I mean, that becomes then very hard to judge based on the projects, that okay, this person is actually good enough or not. So yeah, that makes sense. So just to continue on this discussion, I would like to know that okay, now since AI is very good at scaffolding the basic very MVP style projects that we used to build to enrich our portfolios or resumes. Now, how should a student, apart from DSA, who, yeah, I mean, DSA is the first priority, but yeah, again, after DSA, there will be some more rounds, right? So, how they can improve their chances of getting, whether it is like how they should approach projects or how they should approach other topics to increase their chances to get hired because of this AI. Any one of you want to start this? Any thoughts around that?
Cool. Probably I'll start. Yeah. So the thing is that whenever you are building projects, this is a question that is popping right now, which says that uh, this could have been done by AI, right? So, but the thing is that you cannot, an AI cannot pinpoint a problem. So if you're building projects, which is it all boils down to your the problem that you're solving. If you're creating a project, you cannot go with an ERP system. You cannot go with an inventory management system, which used to be a lot of people building all of these. Now it all comes down to the idea that you're solving. If you are using AI to actually build that, make sure that you are actually open to it, that hey, I used AI for this stuff, but I actually added some more value where I did this XYZ. For example, there were projects which we were validating, which are like AI based intrusion detection system, for example. Now, Snort, these kind of tools are available on open source. You can obviously integrate something like Gemini CLI, you can integrate ChatGPT and so on in order to make this and turn this into a quote unquote smart monitoring system, right? But that is something that is already there. How do we make things a little bit better? Uh, it came down. So there was this one thing that I was looking into, which said, okay, I am making a smart monitoring system. I am making a smart compliance system, which targets this particular compliance, which is more or less like all of these compliances are just so you know, these compliances are all words at the end of the day. Now, if I have to validate that, that's where organizations like the Big Four come in and they validate that as well. Now, if it comes from, okay, I have this, I can take it from this particular, resource pool. I can check it over here and I can manage all of these compliances together. This is an idea that is worth solving, especially for compliances which are not only just words. It's just, okay, you should have a password policy. How are you validating that you have a password policy which is actually implemented as well? So these are things that we actually look at as well. We have candidates, or I have personally seen candidates which openly agree that, hey, I have used Claude for this, but yeah, I have improved this via this mechanism. I have improved this by integrating this particular idea that I have over there. So these are projects that I have seen, very much, come in front when people appear for these interviews and so on, that come with projects. Uh, for uh, for the fact of it, we actually preferred projects. I'm not sure what is the hiring mechanism right now, but yeah, we looked at a lot of projects and we actually valued candidates in terms of projects. So yeah, that's about it, in the sense that your idea matters. How are you executing it is what matters. Don't be a part of the crowd that is building the same thing, inventory management system and so on. So yeah, projects matter. Make sure that your projects is, number one, adding value, number two, unique, and number three, if you are using something which is known to the market, make sure that you have an answer to the question that says, okay, this is already available.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Narendranath, you have any thoughts on that?
Right. I have a lot of thoughts on it, to be honest. But yes, that you have to understand the ground reality of now is that the baseline has shifted. You have to understand that. You have to accept that. That today I am at a 5 years experience guy, right? That things that I needed to learn at the 1 year, 1.5 mark level, that took me 1.5 year to learn, is at your fingertips, right? So for me, what is expected as baseline for a lot of people, right? It took me 1.5 years to learn, because it is like, there are nuances there. Okay, this architecture is better than that architecture and all that. But now when Claude does it, you will often see that if, like, there's basic prompts that, but if you have a basic prompt, the architecture that they spun up with is often, there's very minor differences there, until you basically tweak it into some particular direction, right? If you manage context well, if you manage your context well, if you always giving it small problems, if you give it a list of small problems to solve, it will give you a very standard project. That standard of that project that you are spawning out with with Claude or Chat GPT is often at the same level that someone 5 years ago would do it in after 2 years of experience. So you have to understand that the baseline has shifted. What Knowing what we did at 2 years is not enough anymore, because you are like, ye to AI kar dega. That is the term that is used, correct? Now the project expectations are also more, like, so as Imran correctly pointed out, like, the expectation from you is, okay, inventory management system is previously it was a 1 day job, now it is a 30-minute job. You prompt it right, it would get it right, right? So even 30 minutes is an overstatement, which is crazy if I am thinking about it, but that is how it is. But what you have to understand is, you have to choose your hard problems properly. Divide your projects into projects that I want to learn and projects that I want to showcase, right? When you are learning your projects, you will always be learning. There is this, the problem with today's candidates is, there's a lot of FOMO, there's a lot of scary, because the way that AI hit was so rapid and so fast, nobody was actually ready to adapt as to how do I solve this, because there was this crazy rush of coding agents being better than the other. So the coding agents actually improved faster than we could adapt to them, right? So what has happened is you have to choose your projects, as in, like, these are the projects I want to learn and these are the projects I want to showcase. The projects you want to learn are still the same projects, and the rule of coding has always been the same. In our age, I feel like I'm a very old person when I say this, in our time, apne zamane mein. But when we use Stack Overflow, even then the rule remained the same, that whatever you copy in Stack Overflow, you have to understand what you put in your code, right? So when you are one-shotting problems like that, right? You have to be very clear that what is there in your code. If some architecture decision has been taken in your code as to like which you are unfamiliar with, right, which might be a very complicated architectural decision, you downtone it to a level that you can understand. Because uh, the only reason that it's not a doomsday scenario that okay, AI is writing all the code, what do you need I mean, what do you need people for, right? Because that is never going to happen, because the code works on accountability, and it works on, you know, like how much because you are responsible for your code, so you better know what is in your code, that you are putting in there. The how good your projects are less important than how well you understand what is in your project, right? So divide it into two sections, divide into projects that you want to learn, make your same boring apps, right? Use AI. I'll say like people who are not using AI or be like, if I use AI, I will not understand it as much. No, don't worry about that. You'd still understand the same, but let's say you are, whatever you put in there, use AI to understand it as well. One. Second is whenever you are using AI to, like, you know, in your projects, be very upfront about how you are steering it. Understand what is contexting, what is how to give it small chunks of code, how to do task in small increments. Don't fall into this FOMO of building huge extravagant projects that you can showcase, because in the end, like, as someone who develops, to them the projects are very, it's very easy for us to know that what is, because we are using AI as well, right? So it is very easy for us to know what is done with AI, what is not done with AI. And when we see something complicated in the code, that is where we'll hit you that, okay, why did you make this decision? And if you have not understood what is there, you will basically fall apart there. So first thing is, take your time, do not rush into it, right? It is okay to it is okay to make mediocre projects, but it is not okay to make big projects and not understand any of it. So don't focus on your learning and not on your resume, is what I would say. So yeah.
Okay, so before we go to the next panelist, I just have a follow-up question to Narendra.
Sure.
You mentioned that focus on your easy to mediocre projects rather than like those flashy,
Yeah.
very complicated ones generated by AI. But don't you also think that will be very hard to then stand out when you are getting 500 applications and you
No,
are
but you don't
seeing?
put them on your resume. Like when
Okay.
you do, like you don't, when you learn programming, you learn what loops are, variables are, but you do not put them on your resume, right? That, okay,
Yeah.
I know how a loop functions in this one. So see, the time to make projects have reduced. Like it is like
Yeah.
the things that took 6 months, 7 months has been boiled down to 15, 20 days if it is a very big project. But you cannot make a big foundation on a shaky soil, right? You have to keep your, like, unless you understand the framework well, building a huge project on top of it is you are basically like breaking your own leg, because the flashier the project, the more complicated it is, the more in-depth questions you will be asked. So, and in the end, when you are talking to, I'll come to it in the later segments, but when you are talking to an interviewer, you're actually talking to a programmer as well. So as a programmer, we are mostly curious beings, and if we see something interesting, if there is something interesting in your project, you can be rest assured that we'll be asking you from there only. So you don't air all the things, the basic things that you learn. Keep those big flashy things that you're building later for your resumes, but for your own, keep doing those like boring but impactful projects, because that is where you will learn the most. So yeah.
Yeah, that now clarifies, I guess, everyone's queries. So now I would like to go to Snigdha, if you have any thoughts on this.
Yeah, definitely. So I totally resonate with what Narendra and Imran said, and it is really important to deep dive into the problem instead of making a flashy project. It's like the more complicated you make your project, it's easier for the interviewer to trap you in a question and trap you in a situation where it's difficult to answer. And definitely AI is something that reduces your time. Now it reduces complexities, but at the same time, it's not everything that AI should be able to answer. Sometimes, like with our experience, certain tools and technologies can help us build better. For example, like I should share my recent interview experience with one of the companies where the interviewer uh, actually he told me to design a scenario, design a solution to a problem where people can randomly schedule their messages, like I have to wish someone a happy birthday at a given time. Someone has to schedule their medicine intake notification. So there is a scale, and how are we going to solve that problem ahead? And he also then complicated the problem ahead, that now the users, instead of 1000, there are 1 crore users now. So how are you going to handle that? And there are different ways to handle such problems. So instead of focusing on building a project, you just focus on how you can solve a problem, given that even if it is a small problem, if you solve that, that's important, other than making a big hard level projects which can complicate you even further. And also be ready to answer how did you approach the solution. Like even if you're using AI to solve a problem, if even if you're using AI to build applications or HTML pages, instead of focusing on like increasing the if you're focusing on building it real quick, instead of focusing on that, you focus on if you're actually solving a real problem for the user instead. So that makes more sense. And I think, yeah, it's important to dive deeper into solutioning than the complexity of a project. And it's not necessary to include 10 to 15 projects in a resume, as Narendra said. Make 2 relevant projects and that's enough. And if you feel that confident enough to that this will impress the interviewer, then only include those projects. So the number of projects and complexity doesn't matter, but the intent behind that project matters.
Definitely, yeah. That makes sense. So Pritesh, you have anything to add to it?
I think pretty much everything is covered. I do not have anything to say on this.
Okay, so now I would just probably start with you the next set of questions. So now, as Imran also mentioned earlier that now fundamentals are very much important when you are interviewing people or like that. So we also have a lot of fundamentals like those, like two different ways I want to put it. One is your application layer of things. Okay, now you are using JavaScript, and you are learning the basics of JavaScript or Python or Dart or any other languages you are learning. So that's a different fundamentals that you are learning to get that role or the domain that you are going towards. And another is, let's say you are going to very core CS fundamentals, right? The basic networkings, OOPs, and all those things. So how important both these fundamentals are in context of, again, AI coming up, and how should everyone learn towards this? I mean, talking from a very engineering student perspective, let's say I'm in third year or fourth year, I haven't done pretty much very in-depth understanding of this, but yeah, I'm very mediocre developer who just have a basic understanding of this language. So how should I approach with this, with the FOMO that everyone is building stuffs? How should I focus on fundamentals in this current scenario?
Yeah. So answer will be different for different set of audience. Let's say you are an engineering student. I believe even if you are not an engineering student, if you are applying for example, a front-end role, they still ask you what is throttle. They still ask you what is debounce. They'll still ask you uh, how do you optimize a piece of code, right? So at the end, your fundamentals, every like you may think like on your job you might or might not be using uh, some of it, but when it comes to interviews, again we are back to square one, right? Like you have to learn, you have to go through fundamentals and everything. For me, as I was majorly part of the front end teams, every time I used to give an interview, I used to go through notes that I've made for myself. I don't remember now because it has been long I've been into engineering roles. But the point that I want to make here is, um, as I think one of the panelists also mentioned, that keep brushing up your fundamentals every now and then, because when it when it comes to time where when you want to switch or something, then suddenly you have to learn a lot of stuff at the same time. You have to learn DSA, you have to learn fundamentals and everything. Um, so it is important. It's very important. And one more point I want to say here is, even if it is AI, right? But AI is, I don't think so that we are at a stage where AI can code high scalable, highly optimized applications and stuff. It might. I'm not very sure about it, because I'm not very sure that how the big businesses will they uh, everything is very confidential in when it comes to organizations and everything. Some of them may or may not share details to LLMs. Some of them they run it on your own, on their own premise and stuff. But the point that I want to make here is, uh, you should know what you want AI to code for you. For example, you want to change, let's say, let's say you want to do some migration, you want to change your version of React, or you want to change the design pattern that you've implemented, you want to change the logic and stuff, right? So you should know what AI is doing at the end, or better would be you make AI do what you want. If you know the better solution, you don't have to code by yourself. But if you should know what's the better solution, what is the optimized solution. Just say that do this and do that and stuff, right? So when you assist AI rather than let AI do whatever is feasible, your work will be less. If you assist, your work will be more, because if there are bugs later in coming up, after you push everything to production, and then let's say someone says that, hey, there is a bug in this, and you yourself don't know what you have coded because it was not you, it was AI. Then again, you have to debug, and it's the same process again. So it's better to learn first. Make your fundamentals strong. I would say that's the only point as per the question.
Cool, cool, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we'll just go quickly to Nanda. You already touched based upon these fundamentals, but yeah, I will also like to know, like, in terms of the core, CS fundamentals, how, you know, you advise someone who is even in an engineering college or not in an engineering college,
Right,
from a
right.
different background, how should they approach? Because I feel, again, if Pritesh mentioned large scale, very optimized way, you don't need to have these things in mind while you are designing a system, or working on, taking a decision on any line of code,
Right.
right?
I have a spicy take on this because I can totally relate to this. So take it with a pinch of salt, okay? So I think Pritesh would also agree with me, and since we are not from non-CS fields, what happened to us was we were optimizing for interviews, right? At that time, because since we are all taught from a like core CS background, our familiarity to CS came very late, right? Like for at least for me, it was that third year when the realization came that okay, maybe I have to shift to code. Now you have to understand that you have to choose your battles, right? Everything that you learn will open more doors for you. That can be DSA, that can be your CS fundamentals, that can be your coding skills, that can be your any other skill that you can think of, system design, for example. Now, every interview that you go to or every job that you go to has a complexity level, has a difficulty that you have to go through, right? Now, for me, if I tell you my experience, I was a bit privileged because I was in a good college. So the number of companies I had access to directly from the uh, college was a lot more. So I could optimize for choosing my difficulty, because till you have to understand third year second sem I know very basic coding, right? So I had to optimize for problems that so I have this like, okay, Amazon not for me, Microsoft not for me, Apple not for me, because these are very DSA heavy problems and I might not be able to solve this. So our deep realization that where you are at this current time is very important. I'll tell you why. So let's say you are at a state where you have not individually not done DSA at a very good level from the very beginning on the first year, and you suddenly fourth year you realize that okay, maybe I should do DSA, right? You have to choose your choose your battles very carefully that, okay, I have 6 months and there's a companies are going to come after 6 months, or I can apply to them after 6 months. So give yourself that time, that how much time do I have, or what is the battle that I'm fighting. If you find out that your preparation for any of these elements are not enough, right, you have to optimize. If there are 1,000 doors open for someone who knows everything, you have to choose which of the 50 doors you are going to knock, because none of these doors are easy. If you have a very basic understanding of all four items, like let's say you don't know anything in depth and you have a surface level understanding of, let's say, just DSA or basics, system design basics, your framework level knowledge is also basic, your language level knowledge is also basic, being a generalist in all four will probably be more detrimental to you than being an expert in one. So let's say out of these thousand doors that you are trying to knock to get a job, you are basically playing the roulette if you are going as a basic in all four, right? So what you can do, you can optimize, you can research your companies that, let's say, there are, out of these 1,000 there are 500. For me it was like that. So out of these 1,000, 100 companies, 80 companies are very difficult. They ask code DSA, those are not for me. I had to optimize because I was not good, right? Then I have 20 left. Now out of this 20, I find, okay, these 20 companies, 10 companies actually come for Android developer roles, and in my college, Android development is not that prominent. I optimize for those 10. So that is what I did. I optimized for those 10 companies, and I tuned myself and my learning and my projects to those 10 companies only. So when I applied, I got into both. I got TCS Digital and Tata Neu, right? So both of them were the CVs were completely different to each other, in the sense that one was actually one curated to general roles, general, like for example basic coding, basic Spring Boot, basic and Android development. And when I went for Tata Neu, I spearheaded it only toward Android development role. So everything about my CV speak that these is an Android developer. So understanding where you are in your journey is very important for someone who has done DSA for, like, let's say from the very second year, right? They are very good at DSA, but they don't have any projects, right? So they should automatically pivot to, let's say, I have to go to Fang. Let me look at a CV which got into Fang, right? And then I optimize and do as many projects as needed to actually knock one of these 5 doors. So a ground reality where you are, and then moving towards choosing your battles would be more better than making a general view as to okay, I'm average at everything. That said, big companies often do have very importance to this system design and internals as well. So, and if these are one of the doors that you want to knock, yes, you have to do them. But in the end, it comes down to what are the battles you're choosing. So yeah.
Cool. That's a very good point, actually, choosing the correct battle and evaluating yourself. So yeah, I can basically relate with it because, I am also not that good with DSA. So from a bit earlier, I also understood that, okay, this is not my forte. I probably will not be able to compete with a huge competition that, or the level that is like very high. So yeah, I mean, that totally makes sense. So, Snigdhati, you want to add something to it regarding this importance of fundamentals?
Definitely. So fundamentals, like the previous panelists have already described it in detail, but I definitely resonate with that thought. And DSA at the same time is as important as the fundamentals. So also in the DSA part, you don't have to drag yourself through the complete DSA. Like it's good enough if you do that, but like with my experience, even if you have a good grasp at array and strings, the basic data structures, because I had all the data structures are an add-on to those basic data structures itself. So have a good understanding of arrays and strings, and that makes you like consistently perfect day by day if you have a consistency. And also for the fundamentals part, as you said, that languages are a different thing, the frameworks are a different thing, and the fundamentals are a different thing. So don't complicate yourself in multiple languages. Like I had to learn Python as well, because and this is a myth that people think that if I learn Python only, then I'll be able to use AI. But that's a myth, because you can integrate AI with any of the languages. AI just is an add-on. It's a facility which is given to us, and we can use it with any of the languages irrespective of those frameworks. So if I feel that I'm comfortable with Java, I'll proceed with Java and proceed with DSA with the same language, and I'll try to build projects integrating AI with it and solving a real life problem with the same language and move ahead. And at the same time, the fundamentals are irrespective of any of the languages. So if I want to learn object oriented programming, I should first learn why is it important. If I'm into Java, I should learn why is it Java, like why is Java so much used in organizations nowadays. Like it is portable, and it is like it's portable, and it has all other benefits as well, and it is secure because it does not make use of pointers. So when you're using a technology, when you're proceeding with a particular technology or a framework, you should get to know the basic of it, like why are you using it. The moment you realize the answer to that why, you're already ahead, some percent ahead in your future. And it's very important to have a right direction instead of focusing on multiple technologies at once, that I'll also learn Python, I'll also learn front end. You should be able to recognize in a time that when we are in a graduation, we have to recognize a particular direction to us, that what fascinates us. Like somebody said that I am interested into Android, so it's a direction for the person that he can learn Java, XML, and then Android Studio, and then further pass a career, like further frame a career in Android development. Somebody wants to be in backend development, so they will proceed with DSA plus frameworks like Spring Boot or Django Flask if he's using Python, etc. So a right direction at the same time is also important. As we generally say that jack of all trades, master of none. So instead of focusing on being a master of all trades, just pick a few of technologies that you feel you are confident and you want to move a career with, whether you want to have a career in Android or security or backend development or QA or any DevOps. So you should just have a right direction, a one single direction, and then you can expand automatically. And if I talk about one of my experiences, so I started with Java, but after a journey of 3 years, when I passed my graduation and when I slowly became a professional from a fresher, the interviewers now start asking whether you will be comfortable using Python now because you have experience with Java, but the company might have a need for you to work with Python as well, given the needs of the project, and the project needs ahead in your professional journey may vary from time to time. So you may be required to work with a different language, and when you start working with it, you can also learn the same while you are in your professional journey as well. So it's like I suggest people to start with one language and then start having a direction first, and you can definitely expand that knowledge when you are a professional. So there's no restriction on expanding that knowledge ahead. So yeah, that's what I want to say.
Yes, awesome. Now I will go to Imranda. You have already touched base upon this, so I will just want to change the like question a bit. I would love to know from a interviewer's perspective, when you are hiring for in an role, let's say DevOps or any other role. So how much emphasis you also do during the, like in this core concept or core fundamental knowledge of these things during interviews as well, so people will get an understanding of how they should prepare for this.
Hmm. So the thing is that with DevOps or these kind of roles that we are hiring for, ultimately you know that, and I know that this is a specialized field. So if you are sitting at an interview which is hiring for a DevOps role, we expect you to know that this is a specialized field and this requires some specialized skills that you should be having. It's not you might come to DevOps and you might not say that, okay, I have experience programming in Java and so on. The first thing that you might say is, okay, I'm experienced with containerization, I'm experienced with or I have had my hands-on sessions with Linux and things like that. So Linux stands as a basic for this particular field. So that is the first thing that we expect you to know, that hey, this is a specialized field and my preparation for it is different as well. Secondly, now if you relate it to traditional interviews for a development role or anything of that sort, then you move on to projects and things like that. Now we expect you to have something which is related to the field inside of your portfolio. So ultimately, whenever we are hiring for something like DevOps or cybersecurity, firstly we look into the fact that you are aware that this is something that will require a little bit more extra effort than what is the traditional thought process of DSA, just DSA and projects and things like that. Secondly, whatever you are building or whatever you have experience with has to relate to the particular field that you are currently speaking about. And thirdly, this is something that we actually had in our books as well, that look into something that this guy knows, which is relevant currently. For example, Docker, for example, Kubernetes, for example, cloud networking and so on. So I usually used to hire for, so since I used to lead the Google Cloud practice, so every project that comes for Google Cloud and specifically Middle East and EU, that is where I, was sent to hire people for as well. That is something that I look into. Okay, these are the requirements. Now, there are two ways of hiring. If we are hiring someone, number one is requirement based. We have a requirement for XYZ. You have a person for XYZ, even if it is a fresher, that's good for us. Second of all is the general hiring. So we are hiring for the Google Cloud team, for example. So yeah, ultimately what it concludes to, or what it refers to, is the fact that you should know that this is a specialized field if you are not applying for something that is very traditional. Second of all, your work should be related to that field, and thirdly, you should be aware of anything that you might specialize in. That's a plus. That is not a hard and fast rule, but yeah, it's good to have.
Awesome. So now I will probably proceed to the next question. It's like, I mean, a lot of times I've seen a lot of people during interviews, they are not that much good at communications, or even if, just sharing what they know very well. So, any tips regarding how you should be like sharing about your experiences in a way that works really well during interviews, especially? I mean, anyone can
Yeah,
start.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Because this is something very close to me. So yes, someone who tells you that that communication is not important is probably lying, because I'll tell you, this is probably the biggest thing that kind of gets you hired or not. It's very sad. Think about it this way. Like, so I have a lot. I in my speech I use a lot of ad libs, right? You'd see I use like, okay, a lot, right? So that is something a lot of people have. I have saying it from my example, because I have faced a lot of problem with this. So I not used to be good at. I am not used. I'm not even. I'll not say I'm good even now, but I was not even this good when I started my college, right? And in the end, what I had to do is I had to choose to consciously change myself so that my eloquence or speech gets better. I'll tell you why. If you I mean, if you're talking to someone, right, and that he, for example, he or she probably has a lisp, right, you struggle to actually understand what is going on, right? And during an interview, you have to understand that someone has taken like 400, 500 interviews. The If he's having a difficulty understanding what you are speaking, it becomes a challenge for them as well, right? And it is ultimately a human being that is interviewing you. So, and I think I will make a very good distinction here, that your interviews are not vivas, right? I mean, you must have heard this a lot of times, that my interview was good, but I did not get selected. Or, for example, that guy did not even answer that well. How did he get selected? So the thing is, in the end, we are selecting humans, right? Not a spreadsheet. So if you can not actually get your thoughts out, it becomes very difficult. So I think, at least be very focused on increasing your communication skills. Also whiteboarding, right? Explaining your problems, because those are the soft skills that often carry like 50% of the interview, in addition to your skills. And for me, it was months I did MUNs. I'll share anecdote here. So I mean, I don't know if I take a lot of time, but often what I faced, I think a lot of people will resonate with me, is I felt very shy speaking in English because my English was not good, right? So I remember during college in the IR section there was a there was a small anecdote. Give me like 3 minutes, okay? So there I was basically there was a competition which was basically saying that there is a competition there, and I'm from electrical, so I thought let's go, right? There's free food, free certificate, and that is all that I needed to for the motivation to go there. And once I was there and I was supposed to talk on the topic was actually regional. It was a IR, international relations. The related topic was uh, regional institutions are reducing the focus of the IN or something. Now I have no idea about the topic, so I have of the plan. Okay, I have got the food, but should I run, right? Because that is very scary. That is how it feels in front of an interview as well, because it's a very scary environment. So what I did was, what I said, okay, fine, I'll probably listen to the other guys, and then I'll talk. That's it. So there basically I was in the front row. There was a professor, like very pretty professor, if I might add. And I was like, okay, fine. Like I'll probably give a very good. I'll say something. If I go in the last, I'll just take notes about what other people are saying, and I'll go there. So yeah, but my number was at third. I went there. I gave a very bad speech, and that professor started talking about, okay, the New York Charter 236, 247, 286, and there's a room full of people, and I don't have the answers to that, right? So I just said, good question, and I came down. So why am I sharing this anecdote is, put yourself in unfavorable circumstances. Talk to your friends in English, even if they say like, bhai ki English e board korchis, or something of that sort. Talk to your people in English, because unless you are okay with that uneasiness, that uneasiness never goes away, right? Today we have we have Imran, Snigdha, I like who have who talk in big places, right? And I will tell you, I'll speak for them, that you are always there's always this jitteriness that happens before you go on a stage and talk, right? It might be how many times you are doing it. It's always a jitter that we face, and we have been doing it for so long. So you have to put yourself in uncomfortable positions, actually talk to people in English, even if they make fun of it, right? Because until you do that and go in that uneasiness, it will never come out in interviews, and it will be even worse. So that is something I would definitely tell you to work on, because that carries like 50% of the interview.
Yeah, that's and I can totally relate with you mentioned the jitteriness before the event. So last year I had a first one of my first speaking experiences, and I was like crazily conscious of, okay, I need to not use this with this in between, and need to be interactive. So yeah, that makes sense. So I will now go to Pritesh about importance of this communication, because Pritesh has really good an experience on that. He also have a YouTube channel. He does really good videos, podcasts, and stuff. So I would love to know from Pritesh your thoughts on this, improvements of communication, or if you can also share some actionable tips that helped you.
I think I can relate to what Narendra mentioned. I have similar experiences in my past. I was once rejected for not being good at speaking long back, college time. But now I'm in a field where I have to be good at speaking, because that's what pays my bills. Okay. So I think irrespective of interviews, irrespective of anything, in current market, um having a good communication is always a differentiator when it comes to it puts a good first impression, right? People say first impression is the last impression, but if you are able to put that first impression right, uh, let's say I'll give you an example. Let's say there are two candidates equally skilled, right? um, but there is some psychology behind a good communication. If you are able to put that in the interviewer's mind, uh, uh, that only a good communication can put, right? I think one of the major reasons I was able to crack some of the interviews, both developer interviews and the devrel interviews, was because of uh, the way we speak, right? So I think one of the good practice. So I used to be. I'll tell you a bit about my background. I used to be in sales early in my career. Okay. So as a sales engineer, I used to teach people or students or anyone, like I used to take webinars and workshops on improving communication. And I was just out of my college. My communication was not that good, but my role was to teach people how to communicate well. And that 6 months of grind taught me something that is still I'm still able to, utilize those as tricks or whatever, right? So I'll tell you those things now. So we used to train, like we got a training on, not a training, but we our seniors, our manager used to tell us that a definition of good communication is how well you are able to put your thoughts in front of a person so that they are able to consume what you are saying. Okay. Okay, this is a very deep line if you think about it. When we speak, we think first and then we speak, right? We have a thought in our mind that we want to speak. Okay. How well we are able to portray that to our audience is the key to a good communication, right? So I think some of the tips Narendra already mentioned, that start speaking. Speaking is the only way you can come out of it, right? I'm a person who can speak alone for hours. Okay, now, so one of the thing that can help to, if you are someone like me who was very bad at our communication long back, but now if you want to learn that, I think if you're no one to speak with, start speaking by yourself and start improving by yourself. Start recording yourself. I know it is very bizarre, but and very cliche again, but this is what I used to do. I have recorded myself thousands of times. I've deleted it, of course, but if you start recording yourself, if you want to improve, put out like 30 minutes a day. Start. People say you journal your thoughts on a piece of paper, but again, if you want to improve your communication, start journaling on a video, on a camera. Start speaking how your day went, but make sure you speak in English, right? And then listen to it for like 2 3 times, and then understand, okay, I had this thought in my mind, but I spoke like this. I could have spoken like this, right? You know the answer. You don't have to go to somewhere, do you don't have to take any classes or something. You know how to speak English because you have learned it after, in like, you know how to speak English. It's just you're not able to process the thought in a correct format. You're not able to form a correct sentence in a correct way, and that's the practice that you need to make. You need to um, understand how well you can frame your questions or answers or thoughts, so that whenever you're speaking, you speak in a correct flow, and try to speak in a flow. Take a breath and then try to complete a sentence in one breath. Okay, so there are multiple different formulas or tricks and tips, but basics is try to frame your sentence well and reiterate on whatever you're doing. I remember even if I'm from English medium, my teacher used to say, think in Hindi, then convert in your mind and then speak in English. That's not how it happens. Even if you practice this, you won't be able to learn English or speak English in a long run. Start recording, start blabbering whatever is coming in your mind in English. Okay, and gradually you'll be able to frame your sentences in a way that everything will come in a flow. Okay. I can speak on this topic for 3 hours, but these are the key things that you can do if you are getting started to improve your English. And you should, I would say you should improve your English. If you are not that good, it's just you should be able to share your thoughts. You should be able to pitch yourself in an interview that, hey, this is what I've done, this is what I am. Your people say, right, introduce yourself. That's the first question that you have to answer. And if you are able to put that first impression in that particular answer, the probability of you getting hired, or there will be some good impression that will go in the interviewer's head. Even if you are not getting hired, uh, in next role, if they are reaching out again, your image will be still there in the interviewer's head. Okay, the way you have completed your interview, the way you have communicated, that always puts an impression in the interviewer's head. So yeah.
Awesome. These are some great tips. We'll probably have a separate dedicated sessions how we can improve and bring Pritesh and then everyone again. But yeah, now would like to go to Snignta. If you have anything to add to it. Uh,
Yeah, so Pritesh and Narendra already described a lot of it. I would just like to add my opinion. Like they rightly said, the communication is a key to interviews, and people sometimes think, as a student, even we used to think that learning English or Hindi or a language is not that important and can be like casually taken for granted. But that's not the thing. And there is always the distinction between the people always get confused between English and communication. English or a language or a communication are all separate things. So dividing it in a better structure, communication is, as Pritesh said, it's how we deliver our thought, how good are we at explaining our thought to someone else. And always whenever we are delivering a thought, we should first have a clarity that what we actually want to speak to the other person, who are our audience. If we are trying to, like, generally we always get a question whenever we are in a session. So like in a learning stage, people say, our teachers used to say, explain as if you are explaining it to a 5-year-old kid or something like that. So first you need to identify who are your target audience. If it is students, then you have to accordingly formulate a thought in a such a way that you are explaining it to a student. If you are talking to a working professional, you have to assume certain things, that this must be known by the working professional, so I have to start with this. So you don't have to assume things that this person must be knowing about it or that way. So communication is first you identify your audience and you speak the thought out in a proper way, and that is how we see many creators, including teachers, professor, lecturers. They're often good at teaching us. Why they are good at teaching? Because they know how to communicate their thought to us, and that is why they're delivering their thoughts and teaching to us. And for English, as rightly said, we need to practice a lot. It's not just learning grammar and phonetics and sentence restructuring. As a kid, we start writing an essay on myself, describe myself, etc. Write an essay or write a letter to your friend. That is how we keep stacking our language skills, linguistic skills from the childhood. But along with, start having a reading habit daily. Maybe you can start having reading daily national dailies like newspapers or magazines, or you can read through novels. You can watch English news. That can also help you in your longer run. So that's how you improve your linguistic skills also altogether. And while you and the best thing that Pritesh also said, that we need to fight our fear. If you think that you have a like stammering problem, or you are stuck somewhere, you are using fillers, or you are pausing in somewhere, that's totally okay. It's all fine. Your main intent is to deliver your knowledge, so you keep speaking out, you keep joining community events, or you keep talking in English with other people. It's definitely all right, and it's all perfect to use fillers when we talk to someone. And fighting your fear is important. Instead of hiding out that, yes, I'll be afraid, I'll be having a stage fear when I'll be delivering a thought or delivering a talk, that is why I'm not going to apply as a speaker somewhere, and that is why I'm not going to join that discussion. That's where you fail. And generally people say that uh, it's okay to fail somewhere, but not to try is a bigger failure. So keep fighting your fear, and one day you'll fight your fear, and one day you'll feel confident enough, as we all are here. So we were not speakers immediately, all of at once. So we kept speaking at communities, we kept interacting much and more with communities and individuals, and that's how we were like polished and furnished further. So that's what makes you a better communicator ahead.
Awesome, awesome. These are some, really good tips. Now I will go to Imranda and would love to know, like, in a bit different question. So during interviews, like a lot of people also say that, okay, now uh, to get to the interview, we need to do a lot of grind, right? It is not just, okay, we apply and get the interview. So what do you think, how much referrals really help to get an interview, or get an precedence over others, and how does that helps to stand out from the crowd?
Right. So referrals, I think, do help. I have landed two of my jobs with referrals, but make sure that if you are asking someone for referrals, so, okay, by the way, if you are cold mailing someone or if you are reaching out to them on LinkedIn, don't be there are a lot of people that reach out to me. I am very sure Pritesh, Narendra, Snigdha as well, for referrals, right? Make sure you do not become that guy who is that obnoxious text once again. I see that you are working at Deloitte. Can you give me a referral? Right? Why? Do you have the required thing? Have you had your previous experience? Okay, this is something that I am looking into. How do I get into that? Make sure that if you're applying for an organization, make sure to know about that organization. So I currently work at Senrisa and people are asking for referrals. Do you even know? I'm pretty sure that you might not have heard about this company. It's a small scale company, right? What do they work on? How can you add value to that? Even if you add value to the skills that you have, is it adding value to the organization? Do you know what they are working about? Do your research first before you reach out for reference. That is the first step to take before you even reach out. After which, if you are getting that particular referral, make sure that it does not heavily rely on the person that you are asking the referral from. So if you are after a referral, what I personally think is everything is on you. If you are getting that call, if you have been through the first round of interview, don't go to that person once again and say that I have okay, yeah, informing them that you have been through that first phase is fine. Constantly nagging them that, hey, I did not receive a call, can you check internally, can you talk to the HR? Trust me, we do not want to talk to the HR. So yeah, so that's the thing right there. So to sum up your question, yeah, it helps with referrals only if you can make sense out of that referral, if you can make the complete use of that referral, and it all depends on you after the referral is provided to you. Obviously we scan you as well in before we actually give you a referral, because we have to stand out that, hey, I have given you a proper person that is skilled for this requirement and that we might internally have, just for an example, so that it benefits both of us. You get a job, I get a referral bonus. So yeah, ultimately referrals do work. Make use of it, and just be aware that whenever you are sitting for an interview, whether it be a freshers interview or anything of that sort, just be relaxed and keep it simple, in the sense that the interviewer is not here to reject you hard and fast. People might say that like घर पे झगड़ा करके आया है, and then he's probably rejecting me and things like that. But yeah, they are not here to reject you. Be yourself is what I would suggest. People who know me know that I speak whatever comes to my mouth, right? I have been to interviews where they asked me for a particular problem. I told them that I can solve this particular problem using arrays and things like that. They asked me, why don't you use a hash map in this case? I told them that there's a very nice reason why I'm not using hash maps, is that I don't know hash maps. So yeah, be yourself. That's completely fine. People actually like that. Even I don't know how I landed that job. So yeah, be yourself, keep it simple, make sure that you are getting your points through. So yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Cool. That's like a really interesting one. Narendra, you have anything to add?
Right. So there was a DS interview where I was asked to make create a linked list, and I said linked list equal to new linked list. So yeah, like we all have those stories, and trust me when I say that your interview does not define you. You're like you are not your interview. You might be rejected from your interview just because the interviewer has a fight with his wife. So don't worry about things like that. There is always another interview. So yeah.
I know, yeah. I mean, any other thoughts on like referrals and how
So
should we
referrals, I mean,
approach for
when
referrals?
I got PTSD by the question. They're like, hi, can you give me a referral at Google? Like I am not working at Google by the way. So the thing is, always keep it. It takes is the same thing, same logic that I would give for interviews as I would for referrals. Focus on quality referrals. saying, hi, I am this is my CV, I want a job, gets ignored. Like, to be very honest, like, unless someone is a very altruistic person who is like, whose whole soul is just out there helping people, they would ignore you. They will be like, who are you first? The first question is, who are you? They were like, I have said my name there, right? So if that is the level of communication that you are doing with someone on LinkedIn, probably it's like your 100 referrals are going in the bin. It does not take long, as Imran very correctly pointed out. um, just look at the person, look at where he works, look at the I mean the problems that the company that I am at are solving, right? Draw a thread of commonality between what you have done and what helps you. So I'll give you an example. So let's say you have done a project on something on finance, right? So let's say you have done something on which involves heavily graphs or something, and you are applying to grow, right? So someone in grow, you would say that, sir, I see that, so I have done like a library in JS for doing this, right? I have always been interested in the financial markets. I also saw that last week you posted something about a very interesting way how you tackled this particular engineering problem. I would love to be in a workplace like this. Could you tell me if there is any opening, or who do I need to talk to? You are doing two things here. You are actually signaling to the person that you have taken the effort to know the person, even if it is minor, where he is working. Second is, you have signaled your expertise, right? That this is my domain, this is where I have worked, and this is where I can add value. And third is, you have opened the conversation. You have not said, give me a referral and that full stop. You have said, is there any openings at your place, or who do I connect to this one? So since it is an open-ended question, the chances that people will be able to reply it are a lot more. They might say a no, right? But you will not get scene zoned, is all I'm saying. Like, you will not get like, who is this guy? You won't get that. You would probably get an answer like, okay, I'm not sure, this is the HR who handles recruiting in my company, you can drop him or her a text. Now you have a thread. It might not work because HRs don't reply. Yeah, but like, but you have an opening there where you can basically tell him that, okay, I talked to him, right, and he asked me to reach out to you. So now you are basically having a thread that you are connecting there, and the chances that your message does not get lost in a sea of messages are much higher. So that those are my 2 cents. Otherwise, I think referrals, if you can time it right, if you can play it right, they are often one of the best ways you can get get a job. Because what it does is like, but the thing is, you have to have a personal, I don't say personal brand, it sounds wrong, but you have to have at least something that you can show yourself by. Could be your GitHub projects, could be your hackathon wins, or anything which has some presence somewhere. Because remember, I think in big companies, referrals are very simple, because you are just going through a dashboard. If you are selected, we get money, right? That's what referrals are in big companies. But in small companies, or what happens is, you are often, there is no money involved. Often you are just telling, okay, this guy reached out to me, to the HR internally on Slack. You'd be like, this guy reached out to me for this job, do you have any openings? Can you take a look at his CV? That is the level of referrals that are at. So when someone is doing that for you, you have to understand that, as Imran correctly pointed out, nobody wants to talk to HR, right? Because they are that bastion we stay away from as much as we can. But if someone is doing that for you, you have to make sure that you do not disappoint them. For example, if you have gotten that job, right, and you personally know that person, right, it is often good courtesy to actually not shop for offers, right? So these are little etiquettes that I would add to, when choosing where you are going. Because this often has a implication of the person referring as well. Because I have faced this, right? I have faced this too many times, I'm afraid. Because I have referred people, they have kind of at the last moment, this one, and then the HR said, hey, you told this guy, and this guy did not join. So let understand that when you are doing a referral, you are carrying the weight of the person who are referring you as well. Especially if it is a small company. If it's a big company, nobody cares, it's okay. But if it's a small company, maybe have that etiquette. It's personal anecdote, but yeah, just a small thing.
Okay, cool. These are some really good tips. Now, since you also mentioned about branding and some sort of presence in all those places. I will probably try to turn the discussion direction to that way, because I also personally felt it, saw it in my circle as well. A lot of people are pretty much that kind of people who sits in a dark room, just only focus on coding and just only codes. But as you know, now it's whatever you do, it should be have some sort of visibility, so that increases your chances. So we can call it branding, we can call it networking, we can call it whatever, but it boils down to that point that okay, you are showing what you are capable of, or you are whatever you are building. So I mean, just coming to you, Narendra, like, what do you think about this importance of having a self brand, not like an
Yeah,
influencer, but
yeah.
just having a brand that okay, this is a person XYZ who does this, who is an Android developer or a web developer who likes to build project, like just creating a persona in front of the person who is perceiving you. So how do you think it makes difference for a
So, so now basically, if you again, I'll dial back to my previous answer only. So let's say we was talking about referrals, right? So when you are asking someone for a referral, the basic thing they will do is click on your profile, right? Now, if you have in your profile probably your about section is a line long, right? Where you have said that okay, I'm a web developer. I'm a like a web developer. I'm a backend developer. I'm a AI guy. I'm doing everything like this winner, this one. So what happens is like keep your at least your you don't have to have a lot of followers. They don't mean much, but at least keep your profile very spearheaded. What do I mean by spearheaded? So let's say if you open my profile, right, anywhere, you know exactly what I do. Like in the for the first moment that I go in, you know that I do Android, right? Obviously, previously I had a Android logo when I was in college. Now it has transitioned to something because I like speaking so much, so I put a photo there. But my once I go to my like what am I type is like remote Android senior, just because I work only remote, so that is part of my identity. Then senior Android, right? Then below that I basically talk about what I have done, like what are the things that I have done in Android, right? Then you go down, when you go to my companies that I worked at, it's only specific to even only just Android stuff. I need to polish up my LinkedIn profile, but you get what I'm saying. But because when someone is clicking on your LinkedIn profile and going in, you need to tell them who you are. So if you are applying for a, let's say you are positioning yourself as a web dev, right? Your profile should say that story, right? Let's say you attended one conference where there was a web development, right? Let's say, because I'm talking from a very normal third year view, you do not have amazing achievement to speak of. So let's say you attended a web dev event, right? Let's say, yeah, React Kolkata, you attended one of the React Kolkata events, right? There would be a flex somewhere where you can pose and add photos. Add that as your like banner, because when someone clicks it, they already see that okay, he is familiar into React circles. These are all subliminal cues. These are not very direct. These are not very like on the face things. But what it does is it creates a persona of you as a web developer in the person who sees your because they would probably see it for 2-3 seconds. But as much value you can give to them, or as many signals as you can give to them that of your identity, the more it will carry you forward. And it is true for any phase of life, I feel. So yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Now I will go to Snigdha. Can you also share like your experience, since you also been a speaker, how the whole as a whole networking, branding, or all these experiences stacked up and helped you, and you feel this is something, at least not the main focus, but they should have, like students or people should have some sort of importance, or at least give it a shot to improve their chances.
Definitely. As you said, that if a person is sitting in a dark room and just coding, definitely the person must be very much well versed with coding and very much expert, having a great expertise in coding or anything. But until someone knows that you know coding, they may not be knowing that you deserve to be having a great developer, or to have to be a part of this organization or that. So visibility definitely is important. At least in today's era, it is important. So as I started my journey as a speaker, so it was back in September 2024. So earlier I used to attend the events, and randomly I filled up a speaker form to like check if I can definitely be a speaker somewhere. So it got selected, and my first talk was at JDC New Delhi DevFest, and that opened a door for me for more networking, and I got a confidence that definitely I can now be able to share more views with more communities and more people around. And with that, my visibility started increasing. I also, along with attending those events and maybe as an attendee as well as a speaker, I used to, and I still do that. I share those experiences over LinkedIn and sometimes on Instagram, that this event was attended by me, or I spoke on this topic. So someone over a big space, LinkedIn is a great networking space where most of the people start resonating with their ideas, with their thoughts, or if they want to join such a community event, or if they want to be a part of this industry or that. So they have a visibility of you, they have a visibility of what you do to the community. So immediately there are a lot of doors and there are a lot of directions open for you and open for the people as well. So it's not just a one-way learning that people learn from me or people hear me, but even I am going to learn a lot from them when I'm networking, when I'm connecting. Suppose I spoke about responsible AI, so if I posted about it on LinkedIn, many of the people started connecting over it, and from the event also many of the attendees started messaging that you spoke about it, so can you I was really thrilled to know that many of the audience are actually wanting to know more about it. So they put up their questions on LinkedIn that I want to know more about it. And sometimes even I can have that perception that I could not think of this question that the audience could think of. So I dived deeper into it and I shared my further views with them. So it helps us network with more people, make more connections around, and that's how your networks grow, your connections grow. You get to connect with like-minded individuals. Even recently happened that at a couple of days before, in my same organization, when I was having tea in my office, somebody just sat beside me and they asked if I'm a speaker at a tech event because I saw your LinkedIn post. So the world becomes very small. You realize that world is so small that you don't even know that the person sitting next to you has listened to you or has went through your content somewhere. So it's really important to showcase because it creates a path for both the audience as well as you. So it's a symbiotic relationship kind of thing, and it is important to not just posting your learnings and not just for personal branding, but also you say that it's a general saying that when you share knowledge you expand it, and the knowledge grows as you share it more and more. And with that, it's important to maintain your LinkedIn profile. Nowadays it's the portfolio's importance is I should not say that the importance is decreasing, but people focus more on social networking sites like LinkedIn and github.com if you are a coder, or your other programming profiles. So try maintaining it and keeping it updated more and more. For suppose sometimes people, like if I switch to a new organization, if I feel that I do not bother to change my organization on LinkedIn, so that may impact further. Like I should always keep my profile updated, my bio updated, where I'm working, which skills I am into, and which communities I am contributing to. It's important keeping your updated resume on your LinkedIn, keeping all your certifications. Like if some HR is going to scroll through it, or someone else has to scroll through my profile, that I have to reach out to her for a project or for a meetup or for an event, they should see that if I'm skilled in Java or if I'm skilled in a different technology. So that really helps, and it adds to your personal branding. It's not like solely for your personal branding, but it adds to it definitely very prominently. And other than networking, it helped me a lot. I should add to it, I forgot to. So along with making new connections, just as I am now speaking at React Kolkata with all of the esteemed panelists here. So this also had happened through LinkedIn networking. Also, I met Sulagna at an event, at a hackathon event. And so likewise, I met many of the people. And through those connections, I could attend more of the events. I could connect to more of the people who are contributing to tech industry and non-tech industry in their own way. So it definitely helps, and the more connections you make, the more interactions you have, it's a privilege, and it adds to your profile automatically.
Awesome. these are some really good points. And folks who are listening, in React Kolkata, in events we do take CFPs, and we have a special precedence for first time speakers. So if you haven't gave a talk, this is a very good chance. In our next event you can put a CFP, and we can really help. This can really be a first speaking experience as well. And also those who are listening to this event, do share your feedbacks, your learnings, what were your top 5 key takeaways from the whole discussion we have. And you can also tag all the speakers, us, and if you have some follow-up questions after this session, you can always drop in there. And this will be really good platform for you as well to network with all the speakers. And you can also check other people what they have learned as well. So now I will go to Pritesh, because Pritesh has been closely working with communities, maintaining. In fact, the React Play, he is managing the React Play community in Bangalore, doing events, and would love to know, like, you have been in communities organizing, both as an organizer, speaker, and from all the directions. So how you think that communities in general helped you in your career, and is it something people should try to be a part of, try to contribute to, or what are your thoughts on this?
I think half of my career belongs to community, right? The reason I'm here in front of you all is because of the community, right? So, and that's not because community helped me, because I decided to be part of it. So there's a difference. You joining 10 sessions of React Kolkata will give you a lot of knowledge, but you're not part of a community, you're just an attendee, right? So if you want to move further in your career, try to be interactive with community, right? Uh, in case if you want to take that path, of course, if you are a software engineer or someone, you have a job to do, you have bills to pay and stuff like that. But I'll tell you a bit about where what happened like I think 2 3 years back, and what impact did it made. So I was a part of this React Play community, which was an open source project, and an online Discord community. So I was part of one of the hackathons, and then I met Tapas, who's the founder of React Play. Then I met him in person one day in one of the community events. Then I decided to start some initiative. We did a boot camp, and then we started doing online Twitter Spaces, and then we used to do community calls in the React Play Discord. All these initiatives is something that I have taken in order to grow myself in the community world, right? So it's something that you have to initiate by yourself. Nothing will happen that, hey, I'm part of this community. Nothing is happening because you haven't taken an initiative to be, you know, to do something with it, right? You have all the resources to with you, but it's just you have to initiate and you have to take steps for it. So uh, let's say if you are a student and if you want to be, if you are listening to this call right now, being part of a community is the best thing that you can do apart from the work that you have. Of course, you have to learn. If you're a student, you have to pass your exams, you have to learn DSA, you have to prepare for interviews. But apart from that, you have to take some time out to uh, to think about how you can grow this community along with all the other organizers and stuff. So you take an initiative to be part of the team, and then gradually you grow your network. Community is nothing but a good place for you to build your network. Okay. Now there are various different types of formulas of how you can build good connections in a community. In online there is a different way, in offline there is a different way, but it's just you have to initiate. Yeah, you can chat with, let's say, Arindam after this call that, hey, it was a really good session, we enjoyed a lot, can you tell me about yourself, or How do you host the session? How do you reach out to speakers? How do you take out time to organize these sort of events? Can I be part of it? Is there a way I can help out you guys and stuff? So all these things is something that you need to initiate, and that's how you grow the network. You give to the community, and then later community gives you back. uh, and it's not like you, it shouldn't be like मैंने तेरे लिए किया तू अब तेरी बारी है", ऐसा. It's not like that. It's just it will happen. Once you start giving to community, after a point of time community will give back. This is my personal experience, um, because yeah, it happened to me. It took like 2 years, but one of the strong part in my career or in my resume or in my portfolio is the community, because the role I am in. For you, it might be something different, but growing your network is one of the key thing that you can get out of the community if you play well. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, as Pritesh mentioned, like if you want to have take some initiatives, if you want to have some feedbacks, how we can also improve as a community, do let us know. You already know how you can reach out to us. You can also join our WhatsApp group. You can share your feedbacks, what you learned, what you didn't like, how we can improve. So that will eventually help us to make the next session much better. And yeah, now probably we should go to the next, like the audience Q&As. We got a few questions on tally form that we shared last week. So I will just start picking up some yeah. So Priyanka has shared the WhatsApp group joining link, so you can just join there, share your feedbacks. And so I will just start asking this question. So uh, one question is, what is one project that you have seen that immediately signaled higher level for a fresher in SD or cybersecurity, and what made it different from typical college projects? So I guess we have touched base a bit about this, but yeah, any special experiences that you have seen working in during hiring? Anyone want to take this up?
So let me start it. So in my hiring experience, like I was interviewing for a role of SD1, and immediately a project that caught my attention was to literally know that even as an SD1, where the person had around a couple of years of experience, the project was SQL query generator. So it was about when we have multiple databases, or even if we have one database with multiple tables, it is sometimes difficult if we have a monolith service or a microservice which is quite heavy, and we want to know that how can we query this data. Most of the time we have that challenge even as a professional, that if we want to fetch a particular data which has this dependency on multiple tables as a foreign key as well. So he used AI to integrate with that microservice, and then generate a SQL query. Like if I, for suppose, want to find a user who has this booking on this date and which is expired now, or if I want to number, or likewise any example of a complicated query that I have to manually go through the tables and check through the tables and prepare a query. So that reduced the time to a heavy extent, um, to generate a query and return it to you. And most of the time it will help you to save your time spending manual efforts to write those queries. So that kind of a problem. So the projects, this was an example of a project that caught an attention. So although he used AI for that, of course, without AI, it will be very tedious to prepare such projects. But it's about your thinking ability. It's about how creative you are, and how good a problem are you actually solving, like a genuine problem a developer face. So from developer's perspective, or from a user perspective, or of any other perspective, you want to solve a problem, you pick up and you solve it. And like if you save manual efforts, like one of the patterns that I could recognize is that if you save manual efforts somewhere and you really help that person a lot, so that is a kind of project that catches attention of the interviewer.
Okay, that's really good. Anyone wants to add anything to it?
Right. The thing is, this is true for all phases of all phases of evaluations that you go through. For example, it can be hackathons, it can be interviews anywhere. Anything that is different from the norm catches our eyes, right? So, for example, like in our case, if I am applying for a front end role, right? If someone is applying for a front end role, I expect him to do Android projects, right? Like, of course, always has to be there. But let's say he has developed a plugin, right, for a, like, because I use Android Studio, so he has developed something for a plugin for Android Studio that helps me do something. Or let's say something which is like a productivity, like a utility, like a library of sorts, that probably like a image caching library, for example. So like a beginner attempt at an image caching library, which is not even that good. What, because in the end you have to understand that as an interviewer, your CV is a way to open the communication, correct? When you are looking at a CV, or and you see an Android project, your questions are very figured, that these are the 10-15 questions that I'm going to ask, right? Because those are the questions I'm to ask, which I already know the answer to, correct? But let's say you have developed a library or a plugin. Now this is uncharted territory for me, and uncharted territory is basically more interesting to me as an interviewer. So for example, let's say someone does a plugin, right? And I'll be like, okay, how did you build that plugin? How did you enable it on all devices of Android Studio? What does it do? How did you actually figure out? So I'll give you an example. Let's say there was a plugin that one of my, this one, what they did was, anywhere there was a color string on the side, the color would be visible. Like now in Android Studio, they already, like, what they did is, now they have it in only in the colors.xml file. Like, I'm just giving some technicalities. So just being in the code base and being able to do that, it was very unoptimized. It was not even good, to be very honest. Sometimes it is, I probably ran that later and did not even work in a lot of cases. So but what it happened was, but you have to understand that from that interview, it caught my attention enough that I went to his GitHub and actually checked it out, right? So I mean, whenever you are doing, let's say you have in your CV, you have 3 projects, 2 projects can be your core competence, and one project can be a bit hatke. You mean hatke would be like, for example, a plugin, or for example, a small library, or a small something that is basically a conversation opener. And be very sure that you are the one who built it, because for me at least, that interview, that person did not get hired, unfortunately, in the further rounds, because but for me, that was a highlight, because I, out of that whole interview, almost 20-30 minutes went just in that library only. That, okay, why did you make this decision? Why was this not taken? We could do this. Or he was like, okay, yeah, this was a, so that back and forth bites our time as well, because you have to understand, when we take interviews, it's not part of our job, right? To be, most of the cases, we do not like to take interviews. Like, if I, because I have taken so many interviews, it's not, interviews are like, you have to keep some time, you are keeping your actual work aside, and then you are taking an interview. So when you are taking an interview and something comes up where you actually get to learn from them, right, that is something that is very nice. So I think hatke projects is the way to have, like, at least make an impression. It might not get you hired, but it will open the conversation a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
like to add to that as well, and I immediately remember of one of the very interesting things that happened. Lastly, I attended an event in JDG Mumbai DevFest last year, and one of like the booths was LinkedIn roast booth, where the people were roasting the LinkedIn profiles of the people who wanted to get roasted. And one of the projects was a person's GitHub was opened there, and the project was unfollow non-followers. So like on Instagram, somebody who's not following you, you can unfollow that using that application. So like there are certain projects which may or may not be like suitable for hiring purposes, that I'm not sure of, but that was really something very hatke, as Narendra said. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's a a point. You can have a mixed blend of code projects and something that will be very eye catchy, and that might take the discussion around, and probably, who knows, that could be also a reason you get the job as well. Awesome. So now I will go to Imranda with this question. Like, for cybersecurity roles, SOC, GRC, what minimum hands-on depth is expected before a fresher is taken seriously?
All right. So in terms of hands-on, if you are a fresher or anything of on beginner roles, we actually do not expect you to have a lot of, because the fair game is that you might not know, because these are things that require you to research. It's not part of the college curriculum and so on. So the thing is that all we look for are the basics. So if you are applying for a DevOps role or a cybersecurity role or anything of that sort, do you know your basics? Do you know what at least what a vulnerability is, what a risk is, what's a threat? If there is a particular vulnerability, how do you plan to resolve it? If there is a particular attack, how do you plan to resolve it? What are the flows that you might take? So it's basically more on solving the problems and making yourself aware of the environment that you are actually interviewing for. If it's SOC, you might be required to know what is an SIEM tool, what is an SOAR tool. Maybe you you will not have experience working with it because these are all paid tools, right? So what we look for are the basics. If you understand, if you can solve problems at the end of the day, that is what we actually look for. Also, there's one major thing that we look for are your projects, because this was hard and fast specified to us at some previous organizations. Is see if they have some projects that is related to cybersecurity or DevOps. We actually ended up hiring two people who made projects that were more on the Kubernetes side. So we hired them for a DevOps role that was required. So yeah, that is something that we also look for, and we all that's something that is a little bit off, in the sense that not everyone looks into that. We all just expect you to have the basics right there. But you might be required to be aware that we also look at projects. So make sure that you are portraying them in the proper frame, because ultimately on LinkedIn there are two things that are very prominent. Like half of India is either XYZ enthusiast, AI ML cybersecurity enthusiast, and SIH finalist. I'm not sure who's winning it, but everyone is an SIH finalist. So yeah, that is something that you should avoid. Of course, that is something that is credible, but yeah, make your profile in a way that it looks suitable, right? Yeah, that's about it. Get your basics clear in terms of cybersecurity. Make sure that you know what are the things that are going on, even if you don't have hands-on experience, because it might be paid. uh, and the third thing that might come to when we are talking about cybersecurity or DevOps or anything of that sort, especially cybersecurity, is the fact that certifications, right? People say that if I go into cybersecurity, is it a hard and fast rule that I want to that I need to have certifications? Uh, there are very honestly, there are organizations that actually specify that you at least require a CEH or certified ethical hacker certification. But the truth is, certifications like CEH or CompTIA A plus or anything of that sort do not teach you cybersecurity. These are multiple choice question examinations. Uh, they will not teach you the correct scenario. They will not teach you the right ways on how to, quote unquote, hack, if you want to put it that way. But yeah, there are organizations that look for certifications, and it's a rule. There are organizations that will hire you based on your skills. If you are saying that you are a penetration tester, make sure that you have. So there are free resources for penetration testing available. There are free resources for every single field of cybersecurity that is available out on the internet. Make sure that you have at least some experience with that. If you're saying penetration testing, make sure that you have a little bit of a CTF experience, you have done hack the box and so on, so that it proves that okay, you are hands on with stuff. Ultimately, in cybersecurity, we need something that, or we need someone who has an idea, number one, and number two, it's a plus if they have hands on experience.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
these are some great points. I guess solves the question. If you have something else, do share in the chat. So now I will take this question from Ayush Mondul. So what are the prerequisites for applying to an internship in genuine companies? Means like what should be the approach and through which platform should be the best to communicate with them? Since I am in a tier 3 college in second year, what do you recommend me in my upcoming years to get a good placement? And he's interested in AI because Jarvis is his inspiration. I guess a lot of us is inspired by Iron Man. But yeah, I would love to know your thoughts around this.
All right, yeah, I think I'll be able to answer this question better. I am from a tier three college as well. I landed my first internship in my second year as well, like end of first year. So yeah, the best way to reach out for internships that has worked for me is the fact that be shameless and ask people for it. Right? I offer in the sense that I am ready to work for free if you are actually giving me the experience. But yeah, the main deal is now there are platforms that will provide you with internship. I did not rely on it. I don't know. I cannot vouch for anything that works that does not work. But yeah, be shameless. Ask for internships at events. So it's better if you are physically there and ask for something like, do you have now? Don't just say that I want an internship. Can you give me an internship? uh, Ask them if you require interns. I have no restrictions in the sense that okay, I need this to be paid, I need this stack to work on. I just need experience. So if you're looking for internships, be shameless and be open to work in anything. Of course, don't work in digital marketing if you are an AI enthusiast. Make sure that is somewhat related to the field. But yeah, it's just that you have to be open to everything. That's about it, and ask away. Now don't focus on the fact that you want to intern at genuine companies, in the sense that okay, these are the companies that I want to intern for, and I do not want to intern for small scale organizations or startups or anything of that sort. I would prefer someone to be hired at my organization if they have interned at startups, because at the end, at startups you do everything, right? Except for HR, we do not want to talk about them, but you do the rest of it. So yeah, we know that you can handle that strain of startups, so that we get a little bit more trust on you. And of course, if you're doing internships, make sure that you portray the fact that okay, I have done this, and this is what I've worked on. So make sure to highlight that as well, and make sure that it's relevant. Don't put data entry as a skill.
Awesome. Yeah, these are some great tips. I feel, and I want to add something to it.
Yeah, absolutely. That biggest tip was having a thick skin. Like, to be very honest, that's the biggest tip that there can be when it comes to internships, because you have to knock on doors. The ratio is very skewed. So just don't get tired after doing 20. Like I have to access 20 people, I didn't get anything. It's normal. Like internships market is actually difficult, more difficult in the job market even. Right. So you have to knock on as many doors as possible. One second is, as again echoing what Imran said, you have to like the Imran, you have to actually understand, like have a basic understanding what you're interning for, because don't just intern for the sake of it, right? Third thing that I would say, again, it's a bit controversial, but I am absolutely okay with unpaid internships as well, in the at least in the second years. If you're in a second year and you're getting to work somewhere, that would teach you structure, that would teach you code. Like it is always of course better to have a paid internship, but if you cannot, if it is a low paying internship, don't just cancel it out, because that would teach you a lot more than like probably your lessons at college would. Especially in coming to tier 3 colleges, because I think it has to be addressed that you have to do a difficult, you have to make that grind at least at some point of your life, right? Yeah, if the later you do that grind, the more difficult it gets. People who got in that, like who are in tier 1, they made that difficulty in 11 12, right? The people who are in tier 3, you have to basically burn yourself for this 4 years to actually get there. It is even more difficult for people who are like us, who are in corporate, and they want to shape their life better. So at one point of time, you have to say no to social media, you have to say no to things, and then just burn at that time. So get your skills in order, and then knock as many doors as possible. Be involved with hackathons, community, because you never know where something opens up. I personally have like connected a lot of people I've met at hackathons, at small internships. They weren't big, because I am no entrepreneur, but I mean, I have connected them to small internships where they could actually work, because I saw their work at hackathon and actually found that they would be a very good fit in some problem someone else might be having. So be involved in community, be involved in this one. Another thing that I think it has not been asked yet, but there's a lot of question about CGPA as well, right? um, I think, to be very honest, the curriculum in CSE.
You were muted. Yeah. You are still muted.
Hello.
Yeah, now it's good.
Hello. Yeah. So when because when it comes to CGPA, the thing is, it creates a foot in the door if you are trying to get into this for campus placement. So they will always have, like, if you are not have 85, you are not going to be allowed to sit for placements and all that. So CGPA, at least at some level, is required, because what are colleges for then otherwise if not teaching you structure? Certainly don't teach us coding, right? So they basically, that fact that you are actually doing your lessons signals to the at least a basic CGPA of at least 80% is, please, like 80-85 is fine. Do not neglect it entirely, like 75 or 65%. That is because if that is the case, then your projects have to be stellar, like your so it is all about a balance. Unless you have that balance, it becomes very difficult to get for, especially this is talking from internships perspective, because there is not much we can know about you from your 2 years of college, right? Because we do not know how much you have not made a name for yourself yet. So at least focus on your CGP a bit less. It does not have to be more than 90%. It does not matter. It is useless. Nobody ever asks for it. Yes, all of them are true, right? All of these are true, but still, like, at least 80%, keep that as a level, because that number is something that stays with you all your life. Right? So maybe have that. And during internships, if your, again, positioning matters. So if your CGPA is high, put your CGPA more up in the CV. If your CGPA is low, stash it into some corner, or don't mention your CGPA as well. So you have to make these smart decisions and knock as many doors as possible.
Awesome. So now, if another question, based on the topic you were discussing, Ranjita, if someone is not studying in top colleges like JU, where campus placements cannot be relied upon, off-campus opportunities become the primary option. So in such situations, how should one shortlist companies from the vast number of available options? Also, as a second year student, when there are constantly new skills and technologies to learn, how does one decide what to focus and stick to a single path? I guess,
Right.
yeah.
I'll take that, because I totally get where this question is coming from. So see, any technology that you learn at the very beginning is fun, right? When you start learning anything, till 60%, 65%, it seems fun, right? And then comes that plateau of learning where you are not learning anything new. Doesn't matter how much you are working on it. It seems like, okay, I'm not learning anything new, and it does not seem as fun, right? But trust me when I say that 10%, 15% of that sticking through is where the actual growth happens. Your interviews, all your questions, all the problems that will be asked out are in that top 10, 15% where you persevered and stuck to one, right? So I have a thumb rule for this. First year, second year, first sem is place to explore, right? Try your hand at everything and anything that you can get. See what you are actually giving fun, because you have to understand that IT is a very demanding field. You have to, like, for me, like, at least you have to work at in front of a laptop, code for like 10 hours a day at least. Like even if you are not doing it for office, you probably have to learn even after college, because everything, something new is coming up. So it is a continual skill, and if you do not enjoy what you do, right, it would be very difficult for you to be a developer, because I mean, it will feel like a chore. So first year, second sem, first year, first sem, figure out, dab your hand into everything, figure out what is appealing to you. Once you have that understanding that, okay, this is what I understand, then second year, second sem is your time for learning, right? You stick to it and you go as deep into it as possible, hopefully all your life, right? But if not, at least till you get your placement, because If you don't stick to that one technology, your depth will remain shallow. And as I said, shallow depth does not open any doors. So yeah. Arindam, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, these are some really good points. But yeah, we are running short on time, so I will just quickly wrap up with the final question. So, people, I know you have still a lot of questions to ask. One thing you can do is you can just follow us on LinkedIn. You can drop your questions. We can try to organize a second part of this discussion, because this is a very vast topic, and it actually changes based on every domain. So I would want to wrap it up with a final summary or a roadmap kind of thing, not the YouTube roadmap videos, but yeah, a quick straightforward roadmap for each of your domains that you are working on. uh, I would like to start with Pritesh. If someone wants to be a DevRel or a front end, how should they probably start working, or how should they prepare for it, or any high level roadmap that you can share?
Yeah, firstly, I'll talk about DevRel since I have lost a touch for engineering roles now. Firstly, understand that why do you want to be a DevRel? Okay, that's a crucial question because there's a major shift, and DevRel is a role which is a very niched role, and very less number of people are there in this role. You can say it is like that because it is a niche, or it is that because for a reason. Okay, so if you have a product mindset, if you are someone who is very enthusiastic about the developer tools, and you're very curious about some sort of technical marketing as well, if you're curious about being with people, educating people, writing in different formats, educating in format of video, in format of written content or something, right? There is no hard and fast rule, or there is no particular roadmap that I can share that okay, do this and you'll become a devrel. It's a very vast role where different companies have different requirements. Some companies just want some people who are good at writing, some people who want people who are good at video creation, some people want who are good with people skills, right? So you if you someone who's devrel should be good with like at least 70 to 80% of these sort of skills which are there, so that even if there is a time where you want to switch the roles, you still have that skill, and then you can be part of different organizations with different requirements of devrels. uh, if after researching, if you decide to be a devrel, first is you can be part of communities, start being friends with organizers, start giving to community, start creating technical content. Personal branding can be one of the key things, and do not lose on coding. Okay, you have to be a good technical person to be a developer relation person. An ideal roadmap. I know this is very controversial, and there is a lot of discussion about this. But I also believe in you cannot be a developer advocate if you're not a developer. So be a good developer for some time, maybe a year or two, and then only if you are not a developer, you won't be able to empathize with what a developer advocate can do. So be a developer first, according to me, and then if all these things uh, keeps you excited, start doing these things along with your full-time job. And if there is a point where you have to decide that you should go there or you should be a developer or developer advocate, if your portfolio is good enough, then you can take a chance, and then you can be start stepping into the world of developer advocacy or developer relations. But yeah, be a good developer is the key. The key is to be a good developer first, and then once you're there, and if you have love for educating people, then you can start applying for jobs, or you can reach out to me. I can help you out with what what can be the best way to apply for DevRel roles and everything. So yeah.
Awesome. So folks, if you are interested in knowing more about DevRel, how things works, and how if it is something suitable for you, you can research yourself or always ask Pritesh about it. And now I will go to Snigdha, the your final thoughts, a quick very crisp summary of how someone can be a STE2 or something like that. What should be the approach? I mean, a quick roadmap if you can share.
Sure. So I'll be happy to share about what I think about it. So first of all, visibility is important. So make your projects, make your certificates or internships visible. Try to intern at organizations not because they are belonging to Mang or a recognizing name, but a valuable name. Like if I myself have interned at a startup company in Kolkata remotely. So it was a SaaS-based logistics company. It was building a product at a fast pace. So try resonating your internship domain to your career. If you want to be a backend engineer or a software developer, try inclining your internship towards that direction only, not that you are interning as a, like I think Imran already highlighted that don't put a data entry internship if you want to be having a career in security or somewhere else. So try having an internship similar to your career roadmap. Secondly, prepare your resume well. If you are a fresher, then try including a relevant project or a couple of projects to your resume. And certificates does matter, but not all of the certificates. Like if you think that you can have 10 plus certificates added to your resume that will get you a job, that's a wrong notion. But try making it similar to your job description. Like if you want to apply for an SDE, especially in backend, then certificate of Android won't matter. If you're applying as a front-end developer, then certificate of MySQL may not be a relevant description, certificate to add. So try resonating your resume and aligning it to the job description first of all, and hold one language, like for suppose Java or Python, whatever language you're willing in. And also at the same time, like we in any of the languages we have libraries and frameworks to make it easy. For suppose I want to like convert all my string characters to lowercase, so I have two lowercase function already. This is just a simple example. Try doing it on your own without using a library, so that helps you solve problems first, and then you can use, of course in your organization you will use two lowercase to solve a problem, but that opens your brain to think louder, and that will help you boost your problem solving skills. Prepare more on DSA and don't focus much on graphs, trees and tries, etc. Focus with arrays and strings on primarily on DSA part, and then you can move forward with other data structures. Don't be strictly limited to sheets like I will solve this 50 questions and I will be prepared for DSA. It's not never that. DSA learning is never ending. So just try to be consistent with it. Like even if you want to spend half an hour or 15 minutes daily, just be like practicing it daily, irrespective of the time you are spending. So once you are consistent, you will definitely see a shift in your or a spike in your knowledge and your problem solving skills. So that is important. And then you put up like when you are when you think that you are done with your DSA and your like visibility, combine it and then start making smaller projects in your ID. Install an ID and start making smaller projects. Don't include all of them necessarily to your resume, but start building projects on your own. So that will open up your mind and that will help you create solutions, and you will be confident while you speak at an interview. And also along with, as we already discussed, that communication skill is also important altogether. So you have to know how to deliver your thoughts to the interviewer, to the people. And also while you are taking an interview, it's just an example, like for suppose you took an interview, so irrespective of how it went, and irrespective of the selection, just say a thank you message or send a thank you message or an email to your interviewer and the HR that thank you so much for organizing this interview. I am really glad connecting with this interviewer and it went well. So like a few words of gratitude sometimes also helps make an impression. So that's a thing. And then don't focus much on learning everything at once, just focus on one direction. And ultimately when you grow into your professional journey, and that will like assigned a few of the things, like companies like Amazon, we must all have heard that they have to work like when I communicated with many of the developers there, so they said that they don't even ask you if you know Python, or they don't even ask you if you know any other language. They just assign you a task and you have to do it. So that scale and flexibility automatically comes when you join an organization, but you just have to be direct enough at once. Just streamline yourself at once only to that direction. If you want to be a backend developer, just focus on that. And also along with DSA, try thinking about real life problem solving skills. Like you must have seen videos and posts about how Book My Show works. Like if two people at the same time I try to book a seat in a, so the pessimistic locking, optimistic locking works. How for a 5 or 15 minute window the seat is locked and nobody is able to book that. So these kind of real life problems you can think of, like how is it actually working in a market, how scale works in a market. So think about the real life problems as well all along, and it will be creating an interest as well in you yourself, that you will be curious about real life problems. And once you have an interest in that, you will be more confident in the field you want to be in. So that's how you streamline yourself, and that will help you with your career.
Awesome. Now I will go to Imran. Any final thoughts or any quick, tips or roadmap that you can share if someone is interested to be a DevOps engineer, or in that security. Yeah.
So yeah, for security or DevOps, the first thing that you require is your Linux skill, right? Apart from that, if you are into cybersecurity, then make sure that you stick to one field in cybersecurity. There's web, there's mobile, there's cloud, there's containers. I personally work with cloud and containers, but we need to have knowledge of almost all of it. But yeah, make sure that whenever you are doing something, for example DevOps, if you are going to learn cloud, stick to one cloud. Every single cloud is practically, it's the change in nomenclature, but yeah, stick to what you want to do. Create a plan that, okay, these are the things that I want to do. If I'm going to learn about a CI/CD platform or GitOps or MLOps, make sure that you stick to those, and after which you can move on to different fields. But yeah, your basics should be clear in that particular plan that you have created. Right? It's the same when you are preparing for DSA or anything of that sort. Stick to one language. Don't skip around. You solve one question in Java, another in Python, or anything of that sort. That does not work. Same is with cybersecurity as well. If you are a uh, web cybersecurity person or a mobile cybersecurity person, make sure to make that your forte. After which you can shift to other fields, which is completely fine. But yeah, your basics should be clear. Basic Linux, basic of these components that create a cloud environment or a DevOps environment, such as virtual machines, database servers, and so on. Make sure that your basics are correct. Whatever you are, willing to do, in the sense that if you want to become a web penetration tester or you want to be a database administrator in terms of DevOps, make sure that you have researched about it and you at least know the basics of it. That's all we expect.
That's great. Now I will go to your roadmap to be Android developer.
Right. The first and foremost is as a front end, whatever kind of I'll pick to front end because I think this is transferable skill. But as a front end developer, the what brought me to mobile development was seeing something I built on my own mobile, right? So having that sort of basically wonder, right? For Imran would probably be being a bug bounty. For Singta would probably be something similar. So you have to find that moment that which basically hooks you to the tech stack, right? And then build. That's all there is to it. Before you even think about placement, before you think about internships, you have to do that job. Like you have to do that job. Hopefully, if you are lucky for the next 30 years of your life, right? So build as much as you can. Once you have built something out of, like, let's say before interviews, then when you are building, ask yourself this question: okay, why did this work this way, or could I have worked it in a different way? That inquisitiveness is something that you have to internalize. It's the same for any sports. If you want to be good at like I play table tennis, for example. So how do you get better at table tennis? How do you what are the different kind of shots I can make? See, the same kind is for your programming skills as well. Like you have to approach it from different angles, understand the internals. So take it as a craft. Once you treat it less as a means to a job and more as a craft, it is more rewarding, right? So for Android, I would say start build as many projects as you can, then go into deep into architecture. Don't fall into tutorial hell. Like it's very, like in a dopamine driven world, it's very easy to fall into tutorial hell where you get someone, okay, yeah, Facebook clone in 3 hours, right? But if that were the case, he would not be making YouTube videos. But the thing is, you don't, like, I have a three phase, like people are in tutorial hell, I know, because everybody, that feeling that you are learning something is very apparent when you are seeing a video and following along. So I'll do a three phase thing. Don't see too many tutorials, see one tutorial at the first time, just read, just play it on 1.5x, just internalize what is happening, then follow along. The second time that you are seeing the same video, follow along. Third time, make small tweaks, right? Like for example, the button color, the whole e-commerce website was for maybe for food, change it to a food for cats or something of that sort, like basically small tweaks here and there, which actually gets you out of the tutorial hell into actually building problems and seeing the problems up close, right? Once that is done, and you are in that, let's say 3 years, like fourth year, right, and you are preparing for interviews, go into the theory of it, right? Because you already know how things are being built, because if you have done so many projects as you are proposing to do, you already know how things are built. Now you have to go deep into preparing for interviews for 1 or 2 months, and if you do that and you have that logic, I think jobs will come to you, and you don't have to go looking for jobs if your skills are at that level. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, this sums up really well. So yeah, I mean, we are almost now end to our session, and I just before we wrap up, I just want to thank all of our panelists for all the invaluable tips, the experiences, the whole roadmap you shared along the whole session. I feel a lot of people got to know a lot of new stuffs. If so, do share it with your in your LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you are, like social medias. Just tag us, React Kolkata, all the speakers, and share your learnings. And also, if you have some follow-up question, you can also add those follow-up question. We'll be keeping an eye out there, and we'll curate those and probably have another dedicated session to discuss those things. So overall, thanks a lot, everyone, both the panel, all the panelists, and the whole audience here. You are lovely, and you have some really good questions. And stay tuned for our next events. Yeah, have a good night, folks. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. It was great connecting with all of you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.